The planet Taring 4 burned under a red sky. Smoke rose from cities once filled with life. Tall towers were broken. Fields had turned to ash. The air was thick with fear, and the sound of distant explosions never stopped. The people of Taring 4 once, proud members of the Galactic Alliance, were now forgotten. They had called for help many times. No one answered. Inside a small underground bunker, Kale, a young alien officer, stared at the flickering screen of the last functioning console. His uniform was torn. His skin was pale. His hands shook, but not from fear. From exhaustion. "We can't keep fighting," whispered Nira, the bunker's medic. "There's nothing left to fight for." Kale didn't answer. His eyes stayed fixed on the blinking red icon, the emergency SOS transmission. The message had been sent again and again across the stars. Still, the reply channel was empty. The Galactic Alliance had abandoned them. "This signal," Kale muttered, "was meant for our allies, for the Council, for anyone who still believes in unity." Nira placed a hand on his shoulder. Then why keep it running? Kale didn't know. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was pride. Or maybe he just didn't want to admit defeat. Suddenly, the console blinked. Then it beeped. A loud tone echoed through the bunker, waking the few injured soldiers sleeping in corners. Kale's heart raced. He leaned forward. Incoming transmission received. Everyone went silent. Even the rumble of war above seemed to fade. Nira spoke first. "Is it them?" Kale opened the signal. It was not from the Galactic Alliance. It was not from any known planet. The words appeared slowly, in white text over a black background. Transmission accepted. Response confirmed. Stand by. No name. No emblem, no voice, just those cold, strange words. "What is that?" Nira whispered. Kale stared, confused. I don't know. That isn't Alliance protocol. That's not even one of our languages." One of the engineers in the corner, an old veteran named Garen, coughed. "That's Earth standard," he said. "Old code. Ancient Terran format." Everyone looked at him in shock. "Earth," Kale said. "That can't be. Earth hasn't responded to any signal in over 50 years. They left the Council." Nira added, After what the Alliance did." No one said more. Everyone remembered. Earth had once been a part of the galaxy's unity. But after a betrayal the Council never explained. They vanished. Their ambassadors left. Their ships disappeared. Their signals went dark. And now, this message. Kale's fingers hovered over the console. "Should we respond?" Garen shook his head. "No need. If this is really Earth, they don't wait for permission." The bunker shook. Not from attack, but something else. A low hum passed through the walls, followed by a vibration in the floor. Kale ran outside, through the narrow tunnels, and climbed the last metal ladder to a watchpost. When he opened the hatch and looked up at the sky, his breath caught in his throat. The clouds were glowing, not red, not orange. Blue. The kind of blue that only came from a massive warp engine run powered by fusion and fear. From the sky, a dark shape appeared. It wasn't like the sleek, silver ships of the Alliance. This one was black, angular, cold. It looked like a floating weapon, not a rescue vessel. More shapes followed, dozens, then hundreds. They moved silently, without formation, like shadows flowing across the stars. Kale's voice cracked as he spoke into his radio. "Nira, they're here." Back inside the bunker, Nira and the others stood still, listening to the deep sound echoing from above. It wasn't music. It wasn't a warning. It was something else. Power. Fear. Justice. Kale climbed back down, face pale. "I don't think they're here to talk," he said. A new message appeared on the console. This one was shorter, Only 2 words. Ivak accepted. Asterisk, the black ship hovered over Tarine 4 like a silent mountain in the sky. It didn't flash lights. It didn't open communication. It simply watched. Kale stood near the bunker entrance, staring up with wide eyes. The rest of the survivors joined him, one by one, as the Earth warship filled the sky above their broken world. Why aren't they saying anything? Nira whispered. Kale shook his head slowly. Maybe ... they don't have to. Another ship broke through the clouds, then another. In minutes, the sky was full of Terran warcraft, large, brutal, and unfamiliar. Their shapes were jagged, their hulls matte black, their presence cold and unstoppable. They had no flags, no names. Just power. Suddenly, all Terran ships stopped moving. The air felt heavy. Then the largest vessel, almost like a floating city, sent a signal, not in voice, not in sound, but in visual code. On the console screen below, the old engineer, Garen, read the blinking Earth standard script aloud. Authorization protocol. Omega Black. Immediate evac protocol engaged. Everyone in the bunker froze. Kale's heart beat fast. What is Omega Black? Garen looked pale. That's Earth's final war protocol. It means this is no longer a rescue. What then? Nira asked. Garen swallowed. This is a reset. Outside, the wind picked up. The Terran warship began to move again slowly, deliberately. Something dropped from beneath its hull. A pod. No, a dropship. The dropship landed just meters from their bunker. A hiss of pressure escaped, and its ramp lowered. No one stepped. Out. Kale moved first. He walked slowly toward the ramp, every muscle in his body tight. Behind him, Nira followed, then Garen, and finally the others. As they approached, the dropship's interior lights flicked on. Inside stood a single Terran figure, armored in full black exogear, face covered by a silver visor. Kale raised his hands. We ... We didn't mean to call you. The signal was for the Council. For our allies. The armored figure replied, voice. Cold, robotic, filtered. They didn't answer. We did. Kale tried again. Are you here to help? The helmet tilted slightly. We don't help. We act. Before Kale could respond, more dropships broke off from the Terran fleet. Each one fell like a blade from the sky. No sound. No light. Just presence. One by one, they began landing across Tarine-4. Garen whispered. It's not a rescue. It's a reckoning. Far above, in orbit, a Galactic Council scout vessel picked up the energy signatures and panicked. Inside the ship, alien officers watched as Earth's fleet assembled. What are they doing here? One officer cried. They weren't supposed to return. They were banished. They disappeared. The captain's voice shook. They didn't disappear. They waited. The fleet transmitted no warnings, no demands. They simply activated. Deep system overrides, shutting down old Alliance satellites, warping gravity fields, and hacking dormant defense platforms that hadn't worked in decades. Earth's digital fingerprint had never truly left the system. It had just been sleeping. Back. On Tarine-4, Kale stood beside the armored human. He tried to read their face through the silver visor, but saw nothing. What do we do now? He asked. The soldier replied, calm and direct. Follow. Or stay. But this planet will not remain the same. Kale hesitated. Are you planning to destroy it? A brief pause. We plan to take it back. Kale blinked. Take it back? But this planet was never yours. It was once part of what we protected, the Terran said. The Council forgot. We did not. The soldier turned and walked deeper. Into the dropship. Kale followed, unsure if it was bravery or fear that moved his legs. He stepped into the unknown. as the hatch closed behind him. A new word flashed on the console inside the bunker. Terran presence confirmed. Fleet control. Active dot in the silence of orbit. The Council scout ship sent out a warning to its commanders. Terran fleet engaged at Taurine 4. No Council forces remain. They answered the SOS. And they are not here as allies. Taurine 4 was no longer silent. Above the planet, Earth's fleet moved like living shadows. Their black warships glided through the sky without sound, without light. They didn't broadcast warnings. They didn't share battle songs. And still, they caused fear stronger than any enemy in living memory. Kale stood in the middle of the dropship's command room. The screens around him showed tactical maps, enemy movement, and strange blue codes he couldn't understand. The Terran soldier beside him said nothing. Finally, Kale asked, "Why are your ships so different from the Alliance?" The soldier didn't look at him. "Because we're not the Alliance." Outside the dropship, more Terran soldiers marched across the burned surface of Taurine 4. They didn't run. They didn't shout. Each step was controlled. Their armor shimmered with a dull silver shine. They looked like ghosts unseen for years, now returning from deep darkness. Kale had heard the stories before. Stories of Earth's old power, of fleets that vanished, of soldiers trained on a planet called a death world, a world where everything tried to kill you, and humans thrived in it. But no one had believed those stories until now in orbit. Enemy commander watched through his own battlecruiser's sensors. The enemy was a scaled being, part of the Favari Empire, and he growled with unease. "How many ships?" He barked. "Unknown," his officer replied. "The Terran fleet is jamming all scans." The commander pounded a clawed fist against the wall. "What kind of species hides their numbers?" His communications officer answered quietly. "The kind that wants you to guess and be wrong." Just then, the forward patrol ships began blinking off the map one by one. No explosion. No. Warning. Just silence. Did they retreat? The commander asked. "No, sir," the officer whispered. They were removed. Back on Taurine 4, Kale followed the Terran soldier outside. Neera ran to them from the bunker, her eyes wide with alarm. "Kale, something's happening." "The enemy is retreating." "Retreating?" Kale echoed. "Why?" The Terran soldier turned to face the sky. "Because they've seen what's coming." Just then, a loud rumble echoed across the horizon. From beyond the hills, dozens of mechs rose, each several stories tall. Earth's ground units. Their arms carried weapons that pulsed with blue fire. Their steps shook the ground. Their heads turned slowly, scanning for threats. These weren't machines. These were warnings made of metal and war. And behind them came a darker shape, a massive walker, with Earth's sigil burned onto its chest, a broken sword behind a rising. Sun. It had a name written on it in faded Terran script. "Justice survives." Kale felt his legs weaken. This wasn't just a response, he whispered. This was a message. The Terran soldier nodded. "We don't send words anymore. We send examples." From orbit, the Favari commander saw the walkers activate. His crew stared in fear. He turned away from the screen. Retreat. Full pullback. No. "But sir, that signal was ours." "The SOS was meant for our agents," the commander snarled. "We thought Earth was dead. We thought wrong. Run." On the ground, Kale and Neera watched the Terran fleet move without speaking. No orders, no arguments, just precision. "What now?" Neera asked quietly. Kale looked at the black ships above, then at the walker units in the dust. "They're not here to ask. They're here to show." He remembered the words of the Terran signal. Response confirmed, stand by. Kale now understood. What that truly meant. It didn't mean help was coming out. It meant Earth had taken control. The Terran soldier received a silent signal. He turned to Kale one last time. "This world is no longer yours alone," he said. "Now it's under Earth's shadow." Then he walked away into the fog of war. And Kale, once a proud officer of a forgotten planet, stood still, caught between awe, fear, and strange hope. The sun never truly rose on Tarang 4 anymore. Dark smoke covered the skies, and the planet's heart beat with fear. But for the first time in weeks, the sounds of enemy fire stopped. No bombs fell, no screams, only silence. Silence born not from peace, but from Earth's arrival. Inside the old control tower of Tarang 4's central command base, Kale stood surrounded by unfamiliar screens. Earth's war systems had linked with what was left of their communications hub. His own people couldn't even access most of the data anymore, because Earth had locked them out. Garen, the old engineer, sat beside a screen flashing blue code. "These commands, they're not just for battle," he said slowly. "They're rewriting our entire defense grid, as if we don't own it anymore." Kale didn't respond. He was still thinking about what the Terran soldier said. "This world is no longer yours alone." He had seen Earth's mechs walk through enemy strongholds without a single scratch. He had seen Terran drones that moved faster than the eye could follow. And worst of all, he had seen the faces of the enemies, the Thaveri, as they ran. The Thaveri had never feared anyone, but they feared Earth. Far above, orbiting in silence, Earth's command vessel, the Revenant Star sent encrypted, pulses across the fleet. Inside its dark bridge, Admiral Ryek stood tall. His eyes never blinked as he watched Tarang 4's battle maps. "Begin Protocol 0, he ordered. His officers responded with silent nods. From the ship's underbelly, hundreds of eye-guided hunter pods launched. They didn't glow. They didn't roar. They simply vanished into the atmosphere like whispers of death. Back on the ground, Kale saw the sky ripple again. "Another wave?" Nira asked, stepping beside him. Kale's eyes stayed on the sky. "No, this is something else." Within minutes, every major Thavari position on the planet went dark. No explosions, no radio contact, just nothing. The radar screens in the command base began clearing one by one. Enemy signals vanished. Nira's voice shook. What did they do? A calm voice spoke through the base's speakers. A voice no one had heard before. "Planetary control is now under Earth regulation. Code 7V. All enemy presence neutralized. Stand by for evac." Kale swallowed hard. "Evac? We're still here." A second voice cut in, one Kale recognized. The Terran soldier from earlier. "You're not the evac. You're the witnesses." Meanwhile, in deep space, the Galactic. Council finally received the Theveri's last message. Inside the Great Hall, alien leaders stared at the report in horror. Earth responded to an SOS that wasn't even meant for them. One delegate growled. Another added. And they didn't just help, they took the battlefield. A third stood up. They activated Protocol 0. That's a full planetary overwrite. Silence followed. Finally, the oldest counselor spoke. "We told ourselves Earth was gone, forgotten, that they walked away forever." He turned to the room. But Earth never walks away. They wait, and when they return, they don't ask for approval. Back on Tarang 4, Garen looked up at the sky as more Earth ships descended. This time, they carried cargo, not weapons. But what they brought wasn't supplies. It was infrastructure. Machines to rebuild cities. Towers that auto-dash, construct. Satellites. Already deploying Earth's network across the region. They're rebuilding. Nira whispered, "Already." Kale clenched his jaw. "Not for us." "What do you mean?" "They're not just saving Tarang 4. They're claiming it. Suddenly, the ground shook not from battle, but from power. A massive gate opened in the ground just outside the Capitol ruins. From it, a long structure rose sleek, black, and tall, Earth's forward command tower. Its lights glowed crimson. Its emblem shone like fire, a single Terran star inside a burning circle. Below it, Kale and Nira stood in silence. They didn't just answer the signal, she whispered. Kale nodded. They answered it with ownership. Inside the new tower, Terran officers activated planet-wide lockdown systems. No ship could enter or leave Taring 4, not without Earth's approval. Every camera, every defense cannon, every shield satellite, now answered to Earth's command. And in the command core, Earth uploaded one final message to the old emergency beacon, the same one Kale had used to beg for help. Now, it sent just one phrase: help received, control established. Kale stood at the edge of the landing zone, watching as Earth's machines reshaped Taring-4. The wrecked skyline was changing. Giant black drones flew overhead, placing metal beams and walls like puzzle pieces. Rubble was turned into clean energy. Roads were rebuilt in minutes. It looked like a miracle, but it felt like something else. Do you feel it too? Nira asked quietly. Kale nodded. This isn't charity. This is strategy. She looked around at the Earth soldiers, tall, silent, armored. None of them removed their helmets. None of them spoke unless necessary. They didn't rest. They didn't celebrate. They only worked. It was like they had done this before, many times. But Kale couldn't forget the voice inside the forward command tower, the calm system that announced, help received, control established, not help given, not rescue complete. Control. Inside the tower, Admiral Ryak walked into a locked chamber. On the walls were images, black and white photos, glowing with faint light. Each one was a burned city, a ruined planet, a shattered moon. Each one had something in common. They were all betrayed by the Galactic Council. A young officer followed behind him. Sir, the Council sent a message. They want to open talks. Ryak didn't look up. Too late for talks. Too late for excuses. But sir, they claimed they didn't know what was happening on Taring 4. Ryak turned to the officer slowly. His voice was cold. They always know. They just don't care until someone stronger shows up. He pressed a button on the table. Hologram appeared. It showed a battlefield from 73 years ago. A peaceful colony under human protection. It was attacked. The Council had promised help. None came. Earth lost thousands that day, but worse than that. They had been blamed. Kale and Nira were granted access to a restricted chamber the next day. No one knew why. 2 Terran guards led them through dark halls and into a vault filled with old records. Screens lined the walls. One activated as they entered. A deep voice filled the room. This file is classified. Terran Memory Archive incident. Silenced hope. The screen showed a human child crying beside a crashed transport ship. Council ships hovered nearby but didn't land. Soldiers watched from above. Then they turned and left. Kale felt sick. Nira covered her mouth. The screen changed again. This time, it showed Terran ambassadors being expelled from the Galactic Chamber. They were peaceful, calm and silent as the guards pushed them away. One of them dropped a final message onto the chamber table. When the stars scream again, don't call for us. Nira looked at Kale with wide eyes. They were betrayed. Kale whispered, no, they were erased. Back in orbit, Earth's satellite system detected another ship approaching. Not Thavari. Not pirates. It was a Council vessel, small, diplomatic. Unarmed. They requested permission to land. The response came from Earth's side, cold and exact. Permission denied. You watched. Now wait. Inside the council ship, the diplomats went silent. One turned to the others. They remember everything. Another whispered, and now they're making us remember too. That night, Cale couldn't sleep. He stood outside the rebuilt barracks, looking up at the dark sky. The stars felt closer now. The silence felt louder. Taring IV was no longer at war. But it also wasn't free. Earth had brought order. But not peace. Just then, the Terran soldier from the dropship approached, still in full armor, visor glowing faintly blue. Cale didn't ask his name. He had stopped expecting answers. Instead, he asked softly, "Why now?" The soldier paused, then answered, "Because someone finally screamed loud enough." Cale frowned. "Our SOS?" The soldier turned toward the sky. "No, not yours. The galaxy's." In the command tower, Admiral Ryak stood before a giant map of council space. Red zones blinked. Dots of war, corruption, silence. Places where the council had turned away. Where help never came. Earth was watching. Earth remembered. Firestorm. Ridge was the last stronghold of the Thavari army on Taring-4. Fortress built into black mountains, with cannons carved into stone and plasma walls taller than any creature. For weeks, the Thavari commanders mocked the idea of defeat. Now, they were silent. From the watchtowers of the ridge, the Thavari saw the Earth fleet in the distance. Thousands of small objects filled the sky. At first, they thought it was a swarm of missiles, but they were wrong. They were Terran drop mechs, autonomous, armed machines the size of tanks, falling from orbit like fire raining from heaven. Each one landed without sound. Each one began marching forward. Inside Firestorm Ridge, panic spread like wildfire. "Activate cannons." One commander shouted. "They're not responding." "Target the incoming mechs," a technician screamed. "We can't lock on. They're jamming our systems." From his war chair, General Ravix of the Thavari slammed his fist down. "They can't defeat us. We are warriors. We were born in war." But then the lights flickered. The main screen blinked once. A simple message appeared. "This is not war. This is removal." Earth Command Cale and Nira watched from a nearby observation post. The entire horizon beyond the mountain ridge lit up as Earth's forces moved. But it wasn't a charge. It was a methodical walk slow. Cold, perfect. Each drop mech scanned the area. Each one fired only when needed. Thavari tanks exploded without warning. Sniper nests vanished into fire. Plasma cannons melted in place. It was not a battle. It was a dismantling. Cale whispered, "This is how Earth fights. Nira's voice cracked. "No, this is how they finish what others start." Above the battlefield, a Terran dreadnought hovered, the Revenant Star. From it, Admiral Ryak watched the ridge burn on silent screens. His officers gave reports. Enemy weapons offline. Their shield grid collapsed. Minimal resistance remains. "Send in Protocol 9, Ryak said calmly. In response, dozens of silver pods launched. They weren't weapons. They were rescue units. They flew past. Explosions into enemy bunkers and retrieved hostages and civilians. No soldier. No weapon. Only lives worth saving. Ryak didn't smile. We erased the war, not the innocent. Inside Firestorm Ridge, General Ravix stood on the last floor of his bunker. Smoke and fire filled the room. His officers were gone. His weapons destroyed. Then, the wall behind him melted. A black Terran mech stepped in tall, armored, glowing red from its chest. Its voice echoed, robotic and final. "You are done." Ravix screamed and fired his sidearm. The mech didn't flinch. Its reply was a single blast of pulse. Energy. Ravix's command ended there. When it was over, Silence returned to Taurine 4. Firestone Ridge was gone, not burned. Not buried. Removed. Earth single quotes S. Flag was never raised. There were no victory speeches. No celebration. Just rebuilding. Machines cleaned the ruins. Medbots treated the wounded. Drones carried debris into the sky and dropped it into Earth's recycling ships. Kale stood at the edge of the mountain, staring down where Firestone Ridge had once stood. It took the galaxy years to build that fortress, he said, and Earth ended it in one night, Nira added softly. He nodded. And they never even called it a war. Back inside the Terran command tower, a new report arrived. Taran 4, secured. Thavari forces, eliminated. Council response, inactive. Admiral Ryak looked over the glowing table of stars and leaned forward. Send the next phase to Earth High Command. What is the order, sir? His aide asked. Ryak's voice was low and final. Begin the sweep. In council space, ambassadors listened in horror as reports flowed in. Taurine 4 is now under full Earth control. No council fleet dared to respond. And worse, the people of Taurine 4 are supporting them. One counselor whispered, they're not just reclaiming old space. Another finished, they're rebuilding a legacy. Kale looked into the night sky clear now. The stars shone again. He knew the war was over, but something deeper had begun. Taurine 4 was saved, but it no longer belonged to the stars. It belonged to Earth. Earth was planning. This is not revenge, Ryak said to his officers. This is balance. The war was over. Taurine 4 skies were no longer filled with smoke, but with Terran ships. The people who once feared. Earth now watched in silence, unsure if they had been rescued or conquered. Kale stood on the roof of the rebuilt Central Tower. Below him, the city had been restored in days. New buildings, clean streets, and power grids made from Terran tech. But it didn't feel like home. It felt like something borrowed. Beside him, Nira folded her arms. They didn't ask for anything in return. No, Kale replied, eyes still on the sky. Because they're not done yet. She turned. What do you think they want? Kale took a deep breath. I don't think it's about what they want anymore. It's about what they remember. Inside the Terran flagship, Admiral Ryak stood in front of the main display, showing dozens of Galactic sectors blinking red. His officers waited. Shall we pull back now, sir? One asked. Taurine 4 has been secured. Ryak answered quietly, secured, but not understood. He turned to the room. You all know the truth. Earth never vanished. We listened. We watched. We let the galaxy decide what it would become. Without us. And it became a galaxy that ignores the weak, abandons the desperate, and silences the honest. He stepped closer to the console, voice hardening. Well, now, Earth has answered. A special message was sent from Earth High Command to every major power in the galaxy. It wasn't encrypted. It wasn't hidden. It was a public broadcast. Kale, Nira, and the people of Taurine 4 gathered in the city square as it played on giant holographic screens above them. A Terran representative appeared, calm, firm, and without a name. We received the distress signal from Taurine 4. It was not intended for us. The Council chose silence. We chose action. We have not returned for revenge. We have returned because this galaxy taught us the value of waiting. To those who still believe in justice, in truth, and in unity, you are not alone. To those who watched from a distance while worlds burned, Earth remembers. We are not here to rule. We are here to correct. The screen faded to black. A final message glowed in bold white. When Earth answers, the stars listen. Across the galaxy, thousands watched in fear. Some watched in awe, and some watched in hope. On a distant mining colony, children pointed at the screen and whispered, "Earth came for them. Maybe they'll come for us." On a war-torn moon, a wounded soldier cried as he heard the voice, "They didn't forget us." In the halls of the Galactic Council, leaders sat frozen. Earth had not fired a warning shot at them, but it had sent a message, louder than any weapon. Back on Taring 4, Kale walked through the quiet streets now lit by Terran drones. They made no sound. They didn't patrol. They observed. A black transport hovered above and lowered gently onto a landing pad. From it stepped a human, not armored, not masked. Just a man in a simple gray coat. His eyes were calm, but carried weight. He walked up to Kale. "You're Kale," he said. Kale nodded, unsure if he should salute or speak. "I've read your reports," the man said. "Your command?" Kale asked. The man smiled slightly. "One of many. But I'm not here to give orders." "Then why are you here?" The human looked around the rebuilt city. "To tell you something face to face," he said. Kale waited. The man looked him in the eye. "You were heard." In that moment, Kale felt something strange. Not fear, not even relief. That was something heavier. Belonging. A week later, Earth's fleet pulled back, but they left behind three things: a fully operational Terran comm station, a planetary shield grid tied to Earth's defense network, a choice. The people of Taring 4 could join Earth's new alliance or stay with the Council. The choice was theirs. Kale stood at the voting center with Nira. He looked at the screen. Two symbols, the old Council emblem and the new Earth star wrapped in a ring of fire. He didn't need to think. He pressed the Earth symbol. Not because he feared them, but because when no one else came, Earth did. Asterisk.